Before we go to the other data types like date and time in R and Python, let us try to understand how arithmetic operations function in R and Python. And in the process, also try to understand the significance of variables. Okay, let's get started. Let's take the example of simple interest, which all of us have studied in our school days. Simple interest has the formula principal into rate of interest into time. All right. Now, this is the formula for interest. Okay. And most of the times we know what the principal, rate, and time are. It is just a matter of calculating interest. So for that, we can assign the value for principal as, say, we have 1,000 rupees for which we are trying to calculate the interest. The rate at which the interest will be charged is 3% in this case. We cannot write percentage here as is. So what we do, either we do a 3 by 100 or we can just type 0.03, which is nothing but 3 by 100. And the time, and say time equal to 2 years. Again, we cannot type years like this. So what we can do is we can, if we want to denote that 2 here indicates the number of years, we can just put a hash which indicates whatever we type after this hash is just a comment and it will not be executed. So after hash, you can put time in years. Similarly, we can put 1,000. So here this is, we can either say the unit is dollars or rupees, depending upon your country's currency. So once we have run all these 4 lines of code, here what we have done is we have just assigned 1,000 to principal, 3% to the rate, and time, value 2 to the time here. Now to calculate interest, we have this formula already. All that we need to do now is execute this code. So rather than executing one line at a time, if we want to execute all of these lines at the same time, we can select all these lines and click the run button. Let's do it for now. All right, all the 4 lines have got executed and the interest is 60. So if I say the amount that needs to be paid after 2 years is principal plus interest. If I just print amount, and now if I instead of selecting all, I have another option of executing the entire code here. That is by clicking on the source button. So if I click on source here, again here if we see amount is 1060. So if I take 1,000 rupees at 3% interest for 2 years, at the end of that stipulated time, I will end up paying 1,060. So 60 rupees more, which is the interest. So this is how assigning values to the variable helps us. Because if I change this now, somebody else must have taken a principal of say 14,000 and he has taken the loan for say 5 years and his rate of interest is 0.035. So we just have to change these values here and the interest, and if there is no change in the formula, we can retain everything else as is. Just click on the source button and we have the total amount that is expected. So if he has taken a loan for 14,000 rupees, at the end of the tenure he ends up paying 16,450. So this is the importance of assigning values to a variable. Now let's try to understand some basic arithmetic operations that we have. Maybe we can just go to the console here. So 2 plus 3 is as simple as that. 6 minus 2, that's how we do the subtraction. It's again as simple as how we do in our calculator or in Excel. 6 divided by 2, that is how we do the division. We get the value as 3. And the multiplication we have already learned, 6 into 2. Okay, now if you have to take the exponents, Say we have to do a square of 6. So 6, and we have this 2 stars, and then we type 2. 2 indicating we are trying to do a square of 6. So that gives us 36. If we want to do a cube of 6, 6 raised to 3, enter. We can also do it using the caret symbol. 6 caret 3 will also give us the same number. So there are two ways of representing exponents in R. All right, if we do a division by 0, 6 divided by 0, it will give us the value as infinity. Moving on to Python, let me copy this code exactly as is over here and paste it here. Control C, Control V. A fantastic functionality. I think it was started by Excel. Excel is a lovely tool. No matter what people say, Excel is still the best. Okay, once we have copied this, let's click on the run button or shift plus enter, and it gives us the value 16450. So here if you see, the output in R and Python are the same. It has to be the same because we are doing the same arithmetic. But if you observe, there is one minor difference between Python and R, that is in this decimal. Here you're getting it in the form of a decimal in the output, whereas here there are no decimals in the output. Now the reason being, in Python, moment we multiply something, and in the multiplication, if there is any variable which has got a decimal value, then automatically, even if after the decimal you're only going to have a 0, it will still print with the decimal. That is the only difference now. So for example, if I just remove this decimal here and just say the rate is 3, and now if I click the run button again, it will give me an answer which does not have any decimal. And if I do a division by 100 here, so this eventually is 0.03. So if I run this, since this is going to have a decimal, when we click the run button, we'll have a decimal in the output. So that's just one minor difference between how Python works and R works with respect to the output. Let us try to do some quick execution of arithmetic operations in Python. So it's 2 plus 3. 2 plus 3 is as simple as that. 6 minus 2, again it's very simple. 6 divided by 2, you're getting a decimal here. So the moment you have a division, you're getting a decimal. All right, and then what else do we have? 6 to the power. So to the power, we use 2 stars and click the enter button. And if we have to do a divided by 0, it will throw an error here. R was giving us infinity, but when we execute this, it will say division by 0 error. All right, so these are the simple basic arithmetic operations. In the next tutorial, I'll be explaining little more about the BODMAS principle that we learned in our high school. So if you have a complex arithmetic calculation like 25 into 433 plus 675 divided by 4, and if you have to do a calculation of certain set of things and then do the addition, so for all those things we need to put them in proper brackets. So how do we do that in R and Python? Let us learn that in our next tutorial. I hope you are liking my tutorial. In case you have any doubts, questions or feedback, please do share them in the comment section. Thank you very much and see you in the next tutorial.